If you are doing this one thing, you're robbing yourself of the chance to get better at business. All right, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through one of the biggest things that I see getting in the way of creatives' ability to improve in business. And that is why you're here. That's what the goal is. We all want to be successful and thrive and amazing at business, right? So, this one thing I'm going to be talking about will sabotage your goals. It will kill your dreams. It will leave you in this hamster wheel of never, ever, ever improving. And I know firsthand. So listen in. Okay, so years ago, when I was still figuring out business and how to be successful before I started coaching creatives, I had two very different experiences on social media. So the first one was Instagram. Instagram. I so badly wanted to be successful on Instagram. So badly. I would watch all these people with their large accounts and their massive followings and all their comments. And I was like, I want that. I want to be valid. I want to be worthy. I want to be popular. I want all of that. And this is what my daily wrestling match looked like on Instagram. So I would spend like hours, lots of hours creating a post, like tons of time over the caption. And is the picture just perfect? Am I saying the right thing? And I would spend forever on working it, reworking it. And then I would get to this place where I was like, okay, I got to share this. And then I would start second guessing it, worrying if it was good enough. And then I would get my courage up and I would just hit post. I got to post it, right? And if it didn't get the results, and then I would watch it, go back and watch it. Did it do what I wanted it to do? Did people like it? Was it good? And if it didn't get the results that I deemed good enough, then who knows what that was at the time, but a few likes would be just horrible in my mind. I didn't turn out to be so embarrassed, and I didn't want people to see my content just getting a few likes. I didn't want them thinking bad things about me. I was feeling bad things about me. I thought that I should be doing way better. And so then I would be so embarrassed, I would delete the post. And then I'd be upset and I would write off Instagram for a period of time. Like, this just isn't working. I don't know what I'm doing. This feels horrible. And sometimes writing off Instagram would go for a few hours. And then I'd be like, no, I need to get this to work. I need to make this work. And so I would go through the whole process again. But sometimes it would last longer than a few hours. Sometimes it would be days, weeks, or even months. And so I would go through these periods of like kind of like manically trying really hard to succeed on there and feeling like a total failure because of the results, and then going into this period of just like writing it off and not doing it anymore before I would get the courage up and then do the whole process over again. And really all that I ended up with was a massive library of unshared posts, because half the time I didn't even get the courage to post it. I would just like save it for later. And so I just built up this massive library of posts that I was afraid to share. I was constantly worried about if what I was sharing was good enough or what other people were thinking on there. And and it was just this horrible, horrible experience where I never really saw growth. Okay, so now I want to put that in contrast. I don't feel that way about Pinterest. I mean, I don't feel that way about Instagram anymore, thank goodness. But I want to put that in contrast to, at the time, what happened for me with Pinterest. So with Pinterest, I took a much different approach. First, I made a plan. I decided once a week I'm going to block out my calendar. So it was Thursdays. I still remember it was Thursdays. And I would block out a few hours on Thursday where I would create a blog post, and then I would create some pins for that blog post, and I would publish those pins to Pinterest. I wasn't nearly as wrapped up in the results at all. It was really more about I was focused on the Thursday process and I didn't care so much about likes and repins, and I thought that'd be cool, but it really wasn't about that. It was about creating the content and sharing the content and staying committed to that Thursday routine and just trusting that over time it would pay off. So at first on there, not a whole lot happened. Like, I knew that my content wasn't really great. I knew that what I was creating kind of felt flat and it didn't really, I knew that it wasn't the kind of thing that would really take off, but I was like, this is what it was this week. We're going to try again next week, right? It didn't really matter so much. I was less concerned with the content being good or bad, and I was more just like happy if I got a few repins and committed to the process. So this lasted a few months of me staying committed, just doing it, knowing that what I was doing wasn't really that great, but it kind of didn't matter. And one of those Thursdays, I decided to share something kind of different than what I had been doing. And it was a whim. I didn't give it a whole lot of thought, but I was like, I'm going to try this. And to my massive surprise, it totally took off. Within days, I had thousands of repins. Within months, I think tens of thousands. Within a year, I had a Pinterest account that had millions of monthly viewers. And so you can see the stark contrast of these two situations at that moment in time in my business journey. Hugely different, right? So, what was the real difference? What was the difference between how I approached Instagram versus how I approached Pinterest? Now, some of you are going to say, like, oh, well, it was the content. It was that you had a plan. It was the consistency. Those things all have a place. They really do. But none of those things were the thing. I can promise you that. All of those things are surface level things. Like, if you have ever made a plan and it didn't really pan out, you know that a plan is not necessarily the thing that gets you where you want to go. It's an important tool for a lot of reasons, but it's not the thing, right? If you've ever stayed consistent with something in business and you didn't see the results you want, you know it's not necessarily the consistency. Consistency is important for some, in some ways, for some reasons, but it's not the thing, even though so many people like to say consistency is the thing. It's not. Um, what it really was something deeper, something that wasn't surface level. The big difference was my tolerance for sucking in public. Really, that's what it was. So with Instagram, my tolerance for making and sharing content that didn't do well or wasn't very good was like zero. I had zero tolerance for being able to do that. The minute something didn't do well, or I believed that others thought that it was bad or sucked, or maybe having negative thoughts about me, my ego would get so hurt. That would cause my commitment to drop. It would cause my energy to distance itself from Instagram. And that pain caused me to have this horrible relationship with Instagram at the time. And I didn't want to go through that pain again. And so that's what caused this constant kind of roller coaster that never allowed me at the time to get really into a good cadence where I could actually, test new things, look for patterns, all this stuff. But on Pinterest, I had a very different relationship to the content and to how people perceived it. My self-worth wasn't all tied up in it as much. I wasn't really worried about what other people thought about my repins and my stats on there because in my mind, that Pinterest wasn't about that. Pinterest was about something totally different. And so that was not even an issue. My tolerance for sucking publicly on Pinterest was very high. I was willing to suck on there for a very long time. And because it wasn't painful for me, I was happy to just do the work, stay open, regardless of the results that I got, and just know deep in my heart that it was going to pay off. And that's really was my approach. So it was me being okay with sucking on Pinterest that allowed me to get better. And this is the thing that's so important that I really, really want you to understand. My willingness to suck really bad in public allowed me to get better because I wasn't so wrapped up in worry. It was I was willing to try something new. I was willing to see the patterns. And once I saw my patterns really loud and clear, which I did, I knew what worked for me on there. And so then I moved out of this place of having subpar content to really being able to nail it pretty consistently over and over. And had I been all wrapped up in the stats and my relationship being this toxic negative relationship with Pinterest, I would have never gotten there. I would have never gotten there. So being okay with sucking at first is so necessary. It's so incredibly necessary. And if there is something that you want to get better at, whether it's in business as a whole or really specific aspects of business, maybe like something with regard to sales, something in regard to marketing, something with regard to your numbers, you have to give yourself the gift of being willing to suck for a little while and suck for as long as you need to suck. Here's the other thing too. I can't tell you, oh, you just need to have the tolerance to suck for like a month and then you'll be okay. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know how bad you suck. I don't know what it is you need to learn. I don't know what it is you need to practice. You might have a time period where you need to hold a high tolerance for a period of time. And what I can promise you is I can promise you that improvement is on the other side of that. Improvement is on the other side of that. Success is on the other side of it. Thriving is on the other side of it. You have to give yourself the gift of being willing to suck for a while. That's because that space of sucking is where your skills are built. It's where your new things and new ideas are tested and tried out. It's where patterns emerge, really, really important patterns emerge. It's where confidence and resilience come from. And all of those things are essential for a business owner who wants to thrive. You cannot improve or get better unless you're willing to suck at first. Okay? So I want to know what's something that you want to get better at and something that you're not fully showing up for because you're afraid of sucking at it. I'm challenging you to work through that today so that you'll be one step closer to seeing those dreams come true on the other side. And if you don't know how to put those fears aside, if you don't know how to look at those deeper patterns that are holding you back, if you really feel that the relationship and the triggers and your emotions are getting in the way too much of you being able to do that successfully, I highly, highly recommend that you check out my paid program, Guided to Growth. So as part of the program, because I know it's such a big deal and it's such an important piece of the puzzle, especially for creative people, as part of the program, I guide you through my process for identifying and rewiring those deeper patterns so that you can happily, successfully move forward, watch your business grow, and improve in all of the areas that you really want to improve in. So, the best way to learn about that program and the process that I teach in there is check out the link below. It'll take you to a webinar and you'll learn all kinds of amazing things. And that's all I have for today. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm wishing you the best of luck on your journey.